Hello, welcome to lesson number 5. My name is Thomas Enuru, and in today's lesson, we'll be learning about the wetland vulnerability analysis datasets and processing. In our content, we will start by looking at what are the required datasets for wetland vulnerability analysis. We'll also look at how to download and install the data processing tool. We'll look at how to perform Earth observation data acquisition, how to perform the pre-processing processes of the Earth observation data, and then also how to carry out post-processing activities. Lastly, we'll then go through the Q&A session. In this overview, the wetland vulnerability tool, which has already been developed, utilizes both the data that was generated from the stakeholders consultation as well as the Earth observation data. Now, in the beginning of the project, different selected stakeholders in the 10 East African countries were selected, and then consultation was conducted with them in order to understand the different needs for the wetlands in their individual countries. So based on these results, the data was generated, which we are going to look at in the later stage, how to do the processing of these data sets. Also, the wetland country level data sets should always be collected in accordance with the DIPSA framework. So the DIPSA framework is an acronym of the driver pressure, state impact and response. It's what was already introduced in lesson number 3 on how it is important during the conceptualization of wetland vulnerability analysis. In the table in the next slide, we will look at different sources of the data sets, as well as how they have been categorized to assess or analyze the wetland vulnerability. In this table, we will see that in the first column includes the vulnerability domains. And we have 3 domains. We have the exposure, sensitivity, and resilience. Now, indicator variables for each domain is categorized in column number 2, where we have for exposure domain, we have population growth, climate change, urbanization and settlement, wetland farming, and then wetland degradation. For sensitivity domain, the indicator variables are ecosystem services, wetland vegetation, wetland soil water content. And for resilience, we have resilience or coping capacity, we have the wetland surface water quantity, as well as the wetland habitat cover. Now, the proxy Earth observation datasets for these indicator variables are also waylaid in the column number 3, where population growth has population density as the proxy data. Climate change has the drought developed or generated from standard precipitation index. Urbanization and settlement was generated from normalized built-up index. Wetland farming was generated from land use, land cover data. And then wetland degradation was generated from potential land degradation. Sensitivity domain, on the other hand, has proxy data sets, which includes for ecosystem services indicator variable. Land use, land cover was used to generate that. And for wetland vegetation was generated from a normalized different vegetation index, commonly known as NDVI. Soil water content of wetlands were generated from the modified normalized difference of water index. And then under resilience domain, the wetland surface water quantity was generated from sentinel imageries. Wetland habitat cover, lastly, was generated from the land use land cover data. So in the second part, we will conduct an exercise where we'll be able to install the data processing software. Now, this data processing software is an output of a project called the Globe Wetland Africa. It's a tool that was generated as a plugin and operates within the QGIS software, which is open source. So in the exercise, we'll perform three things. One, we'll first of all uninstall the pre-existing softwares. This is an optional process. Why it is optional? Because if your computer already has these softwares, which include the SNAP, the GRC SNAP toolbox, the BEAM, and the ARA statistical software, then you will have to first perform the uninstallation process to remove these softwares from your computer. This will ensure a smooth installation process of the data processing software. Please note that after performing an installation process, you must restart your computer. And then in the second part, we'll download the Earth observation data processing software, which if you see there's a link to a Google Drive where you can click and be able to download that software. Now note that within that folder where the data processing software is located, there is an installation manual. During your free time, go through this manual step by step and then use it to guide you in the installation of the software. It's a pretty much cut of a cake. Just quickly, you can be able to do this. And then if you have downloaded the software, unzip it, you can then run the installation using the installer file within the folder of the software. You're reminded to read through the installation manual as much as possible to get more details on how to install the software. So in this session, we'll go through the process of uninstalling the different mentioned softwares from the computer. And this process only applies for those who already have this software installed inside their computer. So if you're on Windows 10, type here add or remove programs, and then click on add or remove programs. So the first software that we are going to uninstall will be we'll look for BEAM 5.1, or if you have BEAM in your computer, you can uninstall the BEAM. The second software that you will have to uninstall would be the ESA Snap. It could be version 3.05 or 4. You just have to uninstall this software. And then the last one is you look for ARA which can be found down. You can remove the ARA for Windows if it is already installed in your computer. So for Windows 7 programs, just go to your file browser or file explorer, and then you look for the control panel, which is this one. So when you click on the control panel, then you can be able to look for programs, and under programs, click on uninstalled programs, and go again, look for Beam if you have Beam in your computer, and then remove also the snap. So you click on it, then you click on uninstall /change icon, and then also you look for R statistical software, which is here. So R for Windows. If you have R Studio in your computer, just remove them off so that you'll have a smooth installation process of your computer. After uninstalling those programs, you can then go ahead and restart your computer. So for Windows 10, you click power button, and then you restart your computer. For Windows 7, you can also click on the start menu, and then you'll see the restart button on the right hand side of the start window that will be brought. So if you've successfully uninstalled all the softwares from your computer and you've also restarted it, you can then go to the next part of now installing the program. But before that, you have to download the program. So to download the program, you'll have to click or copy this link. I'm going to control and click on the link, and then the link should automatically take you to the drive where the software is has been put for you, ready for your download. So as you see the progress here, the software is downloading and it is zipping. It will come as a zipped file. So it's advisable that you should, if you have Windows 10, that's okay. But if you have Windows 7, you should be able to have a program that can help you unzip the file that you will have downloaded. So after downloading the software and unzipping it, within this Earth observation data processing installation package, I'll be able to see the different files now in my computer. And to install this program, you just double click on the installer, its file. When you click on that, it will take you through the step-by-step process of installing the file. What I would advise you to do is don't change anything, just accept the different default directory where the software is going to be installed and so forth. So I'm not going to do this because I already have done the installation. So I'm not going to repeat the installation, but it's trying to uninstall the old version of the software. So I don't want to do that. If you are the first time, if it is your first time to do this, you feel free to continue and accept all the default required changes that the software is telling you to do. So if you've successfully installed your program, remember what I said earlier, that you need to read through this manual. So just taking you quickly through the manual. As I told you, it's a project called Globe Wetland Africa that did this work, and with all the partners. So in the get started, you read the different information and how the software was configured. Within the manual, you should also be able to see the system requirements for your computer to efficiently handle the software. So there is something called semi-automatic installation, which I've taken you through when you're going to do the installation. But it advises that before you run that semi-automatic classification, in case you have the different softwares in your computer, you must first uninstall those programs from your computer, and then you can then run the program. There is also the manual installation. If you feel you're interested in this process, you can manually install the different programs into your computer. As you can see in the folder, there are different softwares which you can install individually. This is for BIM, and this is for QGIS, this is for the Snap. So you can do the installation manually, but what I advise and what I've taken you through is to do the semi-automatic installation of the program. Feel free to always consult the manual, the installation manual of the program, so that you run smoothly on finalizing the installation of the software. So after installing the software, you can search or go to QGIS. For Windows 10, I'll just type QGIS. And then the software, if you have already QGIS in your computer of, let's say, 3.10, the beauty is that installing the data processing software or package will install the OSGeo folder in your C directory, so it will not affect your other QGIS software which you've installed in directory of program files. So under the program files, you'll see your QGIS here. So yeah, as you can see, I have QGIS 10.3 also already in my computer, and the same time I am having this on under the OSGeo directory. So it's possible for you to run the different QGIS versions in your computer, while the program for processing the Earth observation data is also there. So you can see that after doing this, I search for QGIS, and then you have to click on the QGIS 2.18 version and not the different versions, higher versions if you have them in your computer, because the data processing software only runs within the 2.18 program. So if you run the installer, as directed or instructed in this slide, you'll be able to have the QGIS 2.18 version in your computer. So as it opens, so after opening your QGIS, I'm just consulting the manual here. After starting your QGIS desktop, you go to plugins and make sure that you've turned all these plugins on. So we just go to plugin and manage plugins. So if the plugins window opens, confirm that your OpenLayers plugin is checked, point sampling tool is checked, processing is checked, processing beam and snap is checked. Ensure that your zonal statistical plugin is checked and the value tool is also checked. So from the menu, you can quickly see that your processing